I am going home on the morning train. Choo choo. I am going home on the morning train. Choo choo. For the evening train will be too late. Good evening, Halftime TV viewers and subscribers. Welcome to another episode. And this evening, we will be speaking about the Reggae Boys and the performance that they just gave at the Gold Cup. Now, I don't know where to start, honestly, because this has been the worst performance, and it begs the question: were they actually that good, or was it the opponents that they were up against? In taking everything into context, the United States team that was sent to the Gold Cup was practically the US C team. Guatemala, the next best team we played, and if we're to be honest, Guatemala wasn't that great either. Mexico was the first real competition we faced, and in in the eyes of real adversity, we we fell short. No, and Dume Wang, big up yourself, Dume Wang. I'll get to that. I'll get to Damian Lowe in a second, but yeah, it's one of those days where you're disappointed, but and I did a video on my TikTok a couple of weeks ago, and I spoke about the demands of the Jamaican and the Reggae Boys fans. I think it's false hope, you know. If we're to be honest with ourselves, it's false hope, and that's why the fans are always furious because every time they get they how do I put this? The expectations are built up, and they actually expect the team to do something good. They fall short. All right. And I can't beat the fans for that. I cannot beat the fans for that. I have a few takeaways that have written down here that I have from the game. And I'll try to keep the video as short as possible because I want to go over there and listening on the press conference from Coach Hallgrimson. But I think overall it was an abysmal performance. I think the Reggae Boys were atrocious in every aspect of play. It's almost as if they didn't know what they were doing. And someone messaged me and said it was quite difficult to watch the Reggae Boys because it appears as if they didn't even know how to play the game. And I'll get to the reason behind that. And on paper, the Reggae Boys were the best team at this tournament, and that's hands down. That's not even up for debate. On paper, the best team at the tournament. But the Reggae Boys were lacking in midfield, I think. And I spoke about it coming into the game. Mexico's strong point was their midfield. They left gaps open in defense, but their strong point was the midfield, and it showed in this game because all three of the goals really came from turnovers in midfield. But the most noticeable ones, goal 1 and 2, turnovers, won by midfielders, and the teams broke forward as a result. All right. So and in addition to that, Damian Lowe, and as one fan said, Kate Hall, big up yourself, Damian Lowe, Damian Maguire. I think Damian Lowe is the Jamaican Harry Maguire, and I say that without mincing my words. So if you agree, you agree, and we've had him on this channel before. But I must say, every time there is a game that counts or that means something for Jamaica, Damian Lowe doesn't show up, or he shows up with a performance that I don't know should be kept at the bottom of the barrel. The same thing happened in our World Cup campaign last time out. Didn't show up, picked up a red card, and everyone was scratching their heads. What was happening there? Right? To be realistic, results we don't hold our government, public and private sector to the highest standard. We just need to grind harder, build toughness and confidence. All right, Warren Bailey, that's one way of putting it. That's one way of putting it. But I don't think people really pay attention to government and all of those things. I think at this point, people pay more attention to sports and their sporting team because that's where they feel levels of satisfaction. People don't count government because it's the same thing either way you put it. So if you put in one part, it's the same thing. You put in the other, it's the same thing. So and especially folks who fall in the Gen Z, Gen Y category, they don't pay attention to politics, and they can attest to it here on the channel. But back to the football business. Damian Lowe, every time there is a game that matters to Jamaica, he doesn't show up, right? And I can't blame the fan for saying Damian Maguire, because he is a true representation of the Jamaican version of Harry Maguire. And if you don't know Harry Maguire, Google him. All right. If you don't know Harry Maguire, Google him. If you haven't heard of him, I don't know where you live or where you're from, but Google him, and it will give you a bit of context as to what we're alluding to. I think Leon Bailey, he came into the game a bit too late. I think after he should have been sent off, because personally I think it is a blatant red card, straight red, no debate, nothing in it, and it was petulant of him, and it was reckless, and it begs the question of the level of professionalism that he has, because we've seen him do it. We've seen him do it with Aston Villa, his club team, where he was in a brawl with Lisandro Martinez, and then he basically went back to get a little bit of revenge. In this game, he received a tackle that he wasn't satisfied with, and with Jamaica 2 goals down and chasing the game, he opted to kick out at the opponent. His studs actually caught the opponent in the knee, and he should have been sent off. It beats me how he wasn't sent off for endangering the opponent. Big drawing board, we are not ready. But yeah, it beats me how he hadn't been sent off for that one. I think he should have received a red card. He should have been sent off. And I know the fans, again, they'll reason with emotions, and they'll say, oh, you want Leon Bailey to be sent off. I don't want him to be sent off, but that is a red card challenge. And if it had been the other way around, I'm sure a lot of the fans would be shouting for the opponent to receive a red card. So how VAR didn't send off Leon Bailey for that, it beats me, because he should have been off. And again, the way these players think, I don't know, because your team is trailing 2 goals down. You are one of the main players on this team. You're one of the main players. People on the team, people watching in Jamaica, people watching all over the world are expecting you to be one of the difference makers in the team. And because you're not satisfied with a challenge, you're kicking out at an opponent. Make it make sense, because right now it now makes sense to me. You get me? It's not making sense. It's not adding up. And again, this is what happens when we put players on a pedestal too high, because there is. Good evening to you too, Peter. All right, and goodbye to you too, Peter. But yeah, it is one of those things. Overall, I think this game was the Reggae Boyz' worst game at the tournament. And again, into context, it's the first real opponent that they played against, in my opinion. It's the first team that actually gave them a run for their money. They lost the game in midfield, and going into the game, we spoke about the frailties that we had in midfield and the turnovers that we were giving away in the previous game against Guatemala. The only difference with the Guatemalan team and this Mexican team is the Mexicans, they actually know how to find the back of the net, right? They actually know how to find the back of the net, and that's why the Reggae Boyz were punished. All right, we're turning over. I think for the first goal, we had so many players behind the ball, yet Damian Lowe ball watching, allowing the opponent to get a shot in there, losing his marker and allowing him to get a shot in. In the second goal, Damian Lowe, quite frankly, basically taking one for the team. He got a yellow card, and the free kick that resulted after that foul ended up in the top corner of the goal. And in the third goal, went and sold himself. I know it was later on, the team was chasing, but he went and sold himself. So he was involved in all 3 goals. All 3 goals, whether it's a lapse in concentration, and one of the captains of the team, and some may even say the vice captain of the team, we expect better. We expect better. And if you're leading by example, that is not the example we want it to be setting for the rest of the players and the youngsters on the team who are looking to break into the team. We just need to learn how to lose with character. We can't be churning the line of emotions are high at this level. We not have a good impression of maturity. We need a midfield general. I agree, Dante. I agree. We need someone who can handle the ball. And again, Damian Lowe's decision making very poor, and I know he's one of the more senior campaigners in the team, and it would be difficult for him to be left out of the team. But I don't know. I just don't think, based on the performance that he gave in this game and the World Cup game, the last World Cup game where he received a red card. I think when it matters most, Damian Lowe doesn't show up, and maybe he can be a part of the group, but just keep him out of these games, because in decisive games, decision making poor, whether it's a lapse in concentration or maybe I don't know. I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to be going to sit here and pretend as if I have the answers, because I don't. But based on what I have seen, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you, the viewers and subscribers, have seen it as well. Maybe some of you guys are afraid to say it, but based on what I have seen, it's just not it's not happening for him in the big games. All right. Overall, I'll give, I think, the top rated Jamaican player, quite difficult to say. I think Lembi Kisa had a good run out. I think Mikel Antonio worked his socks off, but again, the service wasn't there because we didn't have anyone in midfield to supply him. Or midfielders turning over the ball too much. Jamaica's best player on the night, very difficult to find. That's how bad the team was. And I think usually, even if the team is bad, you're able to pick out some positives out of the game. I think it was very difficult to pick out positives out of Jamaica's game. Lembi Kisa, as I said, he came on, he had a good stint. I was impressed with what I saw, the little that I saw. Leon Bailey, his game picked up after he should have been sent off. I think he was putting in a shift. He was trying to make the difference, but albeit a little bit too late, doing a little bit too late. Quite frankly, he shouldn't even be on the pitch at that point. But he gave a shift afterwards, and for that I appreciate it. I think Demarai Gray, who was Jamaica's player of the tournament, in my opinion, leading up to this game, I think his threat was neutralized by the Mexicans. They doubled up, they tripled up, they did everything they could to ensure that he was neutralized, because they realized that he was one of the danger men in the team. And I think the rest of the team failed to capitalize, especially the attackers. They failed to capitalize. So in this game, Jamaica lost because we didn't have competent midfielders. We turned over the ball too much. They weren't protecting the ball properly enough. Too much turnovers, and as a result, Mexico is going into the finals to face Panama. But that's my opinion. Let's hear what you, the viewers and subscribers, have to say. Jamaica is out of the Gold Cup. Jamaica is out of the Gold Cup 2023, and this is largely in part due to the performance given by Jamaica's version of Harry Maguire, Damian Lowe. Remember, folks, leave your views and your comments down in the comment section below. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on this game. What would you rate the top Jamaican player? Let's hear it. Who do you have as Jamaica's top performer on the night? We're curious to hear. Don't remember, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button if you haven't yet done so. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I'll leave it at that for tonight. Have a wonderful night. Jamaica, hopefully, come the games in September, we'll see some bigger performances in the Nations League. I know it's a good crop of players. They are capable of getting to the finals and winning tournaments. They are capable of going to the World Cup. But I think some changes are needed, and especially in big games when it matters most, the coach needs to be brave enough to make those big decisions that will ensure that we progress to the next round. And did you think they'd go through, give them enough respect? I expected them to Gay Miller Grant. I expected them to go through, to be honest with you, because this Mexican team was not it. Right? Mexico hasn't been great. And I think Jamaica has a better team than Mexico. Jamaica has a better team, a better group of players than Mexico, right? But I think Mexico has better midfielders, but defense, Jamaica is better. Attackers, Jamaica is better. It's just the midfield that Mexico is better, because the Mexicans are Mexican midfielders, they're workaholics, and they put in a shift in midfield. The Jamaican midfielders, they aren't that, right? They aren't they aren't up to the standard to compete with the Mexican midfielders. Put it that way. All right. So again, that's my view. I won't keep you guys too long. It's minutes to one. Yeah, it's minutes to one where I'm at. So I'll leave it at that for tonight. But Jamaica out of the Gold Cup. Better luck next time, I hope. I think there were some positives from this Gold Cup campaign. Demari Gray, we got to see him. Dexter Lembikisa, happy to see him as well. Very promising youngster. As well as a couple other bright lights. I think Dujon Richards being given the opportunity is also a positive to take away from the tournament in general. I think Leon Bailey still needs to improve. He needs to control his temper. He needs to control his emotions when he's out there on the field of play, because his decision making tonight, he should have been given a red card, in my opinion. He didn't receive a red card, but it's moments like those that decide games. And had he been given a red card, then that would have been it for the team, right? You can't be doing that, right? Like, you're already trailing 2-0. I think Andre Blake, as usual, he had a good tournament. And overall, I think coach's first tournament for the new coach. I think he gave a good enough account of himself, considering the time he's had with these players. He did well enough. So I'll give Coach Hallgrimson a 7 out of 10 for the tournament that he's had. But again, I look forward to the months ahead, and who knows, maybe the ratings will improve, but also maybe they'll reduce. We'll see. Hats off to all the players that took part in the Gold Cup that represented Jamaica and represented well. I know this game, it didn't end how we wanted it to end, but that's how sports is. It doesn't always end how you want it to end. And for those that didn't show up in this game, as I said, and I've mentioned them before, I expect better from you guys going into the months and the games ahead. All right. Again, remember, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm going to leave it at that for tonight. Reggae Boyz out of the Gold Cup. Better luck next time. Final will be between Panama and Mexico on the weekend. Peace out. Have a great night. Take care.